Hey everybody, how you doing, Jack?
How you doing, Andrew?
How you doing, Claudio?
Hello, Andrew, and thanks for having me.
Great, good. Glad that you're here. So let's see. So people are coming in. So welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching from. Should get quite the international group. So hopefully they'll come out today. Let us know where you're watching from, everybody. Don't be shy. You can comment. I might have to go into one of the groups and comment. There we go. We have Hannah from Belgrade. Great. Got Dave from Liverpool, UK. Good to see here, Dave, as well.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Hannah.
And we have Cyprian from Romania. I believe that's how you say it. Yeah. Georgiana from the UK. Great.
Hey, Georgiana.
Hello.
And Yeti from New Hampshire. Nashua, New Hampshire. If I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. I'm trying my best here. Let's see. A few people from the UK. That's good. Yeah. Let us know where you're watching from. See more people coming in. Don't be shy. Let us know. And then if anyone is watching from Facebook, just a reminder to please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic. So I'll be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. That's the link under the live, StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give it a click. Give it permissions. Come on in. Let's see. We got Kathleen from Baltimore, Maryland. Dimitri.
Hey, Kat. Dimitri, my friend, nice to see you here. It's so nice to
Georgiana Martin.
Yep. So many friends joining in.
Georgiana, right? You know her. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So, Claudia, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I could. I don't know if there's so much to say. My name is Claudiu. I'm from Romania. I run fine art portrait photography in Cluj, which is Transylvania, central Romania. As I said, I specialize in fine art portraiture and nudes. About my work, to sum it up, my work is first and foremost an attempt to translate the old masters aesthetic to the modern means of digital photography. Maybe I'm a painter that cannot paint and tries to express himself into this medium, the medium of photography. For me, the painting of the 16th and 17th centuries, it's always been close to my soul. And I fell in love with the drama of chiaroscuro, with the composition of Baroque paintings. I'm especially passionate about the Baroque period, and especially what it's usually called the Dutch Golden Age, Rembrandt, Rubens, Vermeer, Caravaggio. And like any other photographer starting out and looking for his personal style, which can be a very frustrating process sometimes. For me, when I discovered this kind of aesthetic, the painterly aesthetic of the old masters, that was it for me. I said, yeah, hey, this is how I want my photographs to look like. This was the aesthetic I truly resonate with. This is when I truly felt that my work fulfills me creatively. So I started with simple portraits, and of course, a lot of questions. How would the old masters, how would Rembrandt have done it? How would the lighting be, the color scheme, the expressions, the atmosphere? How would it have made the viewer feel? And from the simple portraits, and we'll see some of those, I graduated to more elaborate series of images, usually of mythological or biblical inspiration, sometimes even including a slight erotic twist to the mix, often working with professional actors to better bring my vision to life. This type of imagery that you see there behind me, it's quintessential for my work and style. At the end of the day, I think my images are more about who I am, what I like. These are the product of my likes and dislikes, of my experience, memories, emotions, I don't know, accomplishments, and from all life. These are stories that I saw with my eyes closed, and I fell in love with.
Excellent. Shall I share your screen for your slides? Yeah.
Sure.
Great. Bring you up to the top. Great. Okay.
I identify myself as a neoclassical photographer. It's because the influence that classical photography, classical painting has over me, the big influence. We all know that at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a pictorial movement in photography. Those were people who were trying to elevate the status of a beginning art, because photography was at the very beginnings, and they were trying to borrow from the aesthetic of painting, which was an established art, to elevate the status of their craft. And I'm maybe trying to do also that.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay. You want to go to the first slide then?
Sure. Okay. I'm the one with
Yeah. You
clicking
control
the buttons. I forgot about that.
That's right.
I'm sorry, but
You're in
every
control.
time I talk in, I had many opportunities to talk in public. I teach. I lecture, and every time I'm nervous, and
Your work's great.
It's
You'll
amazing.
do fine.
yeah,
It's
thank
funny.
you.
It's funny you say that, Claudio, because I get exactly the same when I teach and do workshops, and I think that nerves is an inherent part of this process.
It is. And I think that still being nervous after all this time, maybe it's a clear indication that I still care and I still love what I do.
Definitely.
Great.
Okay, I'm clicking the buttons, but okay.
There we go. Yep.
Okay. Here's the first piece. It's called Adoration. Actually, this piece has a funny story. I made this during a fine art portraiture masterclass that I taught in Bucharest, capital of Romania. All the hands that you see are the hands of the students, and I just asked them, please, all of you, would you lend me a hand? And I did that.
Great.
Beautiful. So original.
Thanks. Thank you, Jack. Hey, this is also done during a workshop I taught in Constanța at the beginning of the year. This is inspired by a novel It's the artwork is called the funeral of Atala. It's inspired by a novel of Chateaubriand. He tells it's a tragic love story. It's a love story with a tragic end. It's about a couple. He's a native, she's white. They fall in love. At the end, of course, she commits suicide, and a priest that was kind of their mentor and protector. This is the final scene when the two lovers and their protector, the priest, proceed to bury the corpse of the young woman. I'm sometimes what can I say? Sometimes I'm kind of dark. Thank you, John. I really appreciate the feedback. And guys, if you thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Kat. If you at any time have questions or feel free to jump in. I really don't like to do a monologue, and I think interaction will be very, very welcome for us not being boring during this hour we have together.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is a composite group portrait I did for a theatrical poster. The National Theatre here in my hometown in Cluj asked me to do a poster for the play called Gamblers by the Russian author Gogol. They wanted something like usually the posters are made on set with everything there, the props, and this time they wanted to have like a old family photo made in a studio. The thing is that there were like 11 or 10 or 12 in the cast, and I have a 3 meters wide background at my studio, and I had to do a composite because there was no way to pose the whole group and to lit the whole group at once. So I took smaller groups and photographed them, and then I made a final composite in Photoshop, and we got that.
That's
This
so seamless, Claudio. It really looks as if this group is in your studio as one mass.
Thank you. Actually, it was the first time I did a composite group portrait. I've seen it done. I've seen it done for the distribution, the cast of several TV shows, for example, and I really liked the result. But this was my first time, and okay, it was a lot of work, but if you plan it properly, it's really not that hard to make it look good in post-processing, because if you plan it in advance, especially the zones where the smaller groups overlap, you really make your life easier afterwards.
And Claudio, can you take a couple questions?
Sure.
So,
I live for the question. I welcome the questions.
So Dimitri asks, what is your favorite light?
In terms of lighting pattern or favorite light to work with or modifier, can you be a little bit more specific?
Dimitri, let us know what you mean exactly.
Yeah. Let me just answer the whole three. My favorite lighting pattern is what I usually call the
It says modifier.
okay, the most beautiful light in the world, which is Rembrandt lighting. I love that. In terms of modifiers, I work a lot with a parabolic modifier that I usually grid. I always have a grid on it for the added contrast and directionality of the light. It's basically a parabolic softbox. It's 120 centimeters wide, and it's deeper, as all parabolic softboxes. But I don't make use of the parabolic character of the modifier because I usually use it with a double diffusion, which kind of destroys the parabolic character of the modifier, and a grid, as I mentioned, for the added contrast and directionality of the light.
Great.
But this is the 120 deep softbox. It's for me, it's my go-to modifier.
Great. And Kathleen asks, do certain paintings assist you in your process, or do the ideas come to you naturally?
Kat, you know, the brain, it's a funny animal. Usually the brain produces stuff in that's like the stuff you're feeding it with. For me, I always look at that kind of imagery, and aesthetic, and I always feed my brain with those images. Now, it would be kind of funny if the end product would be in any other way. But yeah, I take a great deal of inspiration from classical painting, and I take a great deal of inspiration from my dreams. I know it sounds kind of wacky, but most of my images I first see. If I don't see an image with my eyes closed like this, I have to close my eyes and see it. I see it in detail. If I can't do that, I don't do it.
Great. Okay.
Okay, another image for my Baroque-inspired series. It's my interpretation of the Cain and Abel biblical myth or story. These two are actually very well-known Romanian actors, wonderful people, and it's such a joy to work with actors because they always have the expression in such a vast supply, and once you have made them understand what you wish to create, it's so much easier to work with them.
Nice.
This is a portrait from my bubblegum series. Here we have two extra elements. The pink plastic flamingo. Before this the shoot, I went to a supermarket here, and I was walking around, and I was looking for the most kitsch thing I could find, and that was it. That was it. That pink flamingo was the kitschest, if that's even a word, thing that I could ever find. And then I bought a pack of bubblegum, and the pack of bubblegum was pink. And I was so disappointed when the bubblegum was white. Because I had to make it flamingo pink in in Photoshop. But these images, I have more images in the bubblegum series. They try to take the serious. I take the images that the serious me would create, and then add out of place elements, even kitsch, just to create some contrast. These are I started to do these kind of images after I discovered the work of course, a painter. He's a contemporary painter. Uh, he was born in South Africa, I think, but now lives in Scotland. His name is Alan MacDonald. He paints these wonderful scenes and portraits with all these Rembrandt-esque characters that do wacky stuff, and there's Spider-Man and Donald Duck in the frame also. I love those. Those are the images that that make you feel younger and freer. Those are the kind of images that free the inner child. And that's why that's what I'm trying to create with these images, to basically free my inner child, basically try not to take myself so seriously, which is a good advice for anyone.
Right. Yeah.
It's also part of the Baroque inspired series. Simple portrait of my good friend Christian. He's also an actor, and he teaches theater at the local university. As you can see, the lighting, the atmosphere, it's going to the look and feel and atmosphere of the Baroque painting. At least I try to. This is my interpretation of Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring. Here I try to have a Rembrandt lighting pattern and some sort of an inverted checkerboard scheme, placing the shadow part of the face on the lit part of the body, and vice versa, the lit part of the face on the shadowy part of the body, just to add an extra layer of contrast. It's one of my favorite portraits.
Nice.
It's also is a portrait I'm really connected to. The model is an old professor that at the Art and Design University here. He worked at the photography department all his life. He taught photography all his life. He's one of my heroes, and I always say about him that he has an awesome superpower. He's able to speak beautifully for hours just about anything, no matter how not beautiful it is. He's an awesome person and a great teacher.
And can we take a quick question?
Sure.
So Georgiana asks, are you planning any workshops in the UK?
There was a workshop in the planning during the master's weekend in London with the MPA, but due to them changing plans, that was cancelled. But yeah, definitely the next year something like that is possible in the UK.
Right.
I'm maybe 60%, 70% sure it will happen in the UK. During the last 2 years, I taught all over the place. And yeah, UK, it's definitely on the list. This is, hey, Miria. This is a interpretation. I wanted to do Da Vinci's Girl with Lady and the Ermine for a really, really long time. I was kind of obsessed with that painting. And I kept looking for a suitable model because I wanted a certain physiognomy. And after, I think, a couple of years of looking, I finally found her. She's a visual artist, and she agreed to pose for the portrait. I actually wanted a live Ermine, but I couldn't find one, and at the end we got a stuffed one.
So intriguing. The intriguing look in her eyes. It's got so many levels of depth to it, this portrait. Is that a ferret in her arms, Claudio?
Yeah, it's a stuffed
Yes.
ferret. I wanted a live one, but I couldn't find one. At least I couldn't find one that wouldn't bite. So
Yeah, I was going to say they're very bitey creatures.
yeah, so we went the stuffed way. I don't like that, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, she did a wonderful job posing for this piece. I of course showed her the painting, and I said I want to do something that's based on this because I'm freaking obsessed with that painting, and we did. And she, yeah, the eye, she nailed it. The look, the expression, she really nailed it.
Yeah,
So,
brilliant.
it's definitely safer, John. Definitely safer.
Sweet.
We didn't wish for any rabies shots, so okay.
That's cool.
This is called Darkness Inside. It's also my friend Christian. I work a lot with this guy just because I know he's my brother from another mother. I love working with him, and there's such a good fit. I don't even need to he just understands. Um, this is at that time it was an experiment. I just bought a optical snoot. You know, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
modifier you can use gobbles with and create of all sorts of shapes with the light. And the easier thing that you can do with it, it's just a slit. And um, I lit that with that optical snoot, and I used a big umbrella, 180 centimeters umbrella just behind me, with very lightly colored blue gel just to cool down the shadows a little bit, to increase the chromatic contrast between the highlight, the slit on the face, and the shadows, and of course to bring more detail, because without that feel like all detail in black, because it's the face and black on black on black on black. And I work with a lot of shadows, and I work with black on black on black on black a lot. And it's sometimes it's a challenge to control the detail in black, but um, the result I really like, so
Yeah, great.
I try to do it. Another one from the old masters inspired portraiture, this time with a slight steampunk twist, and an owl.
Nice.
uh, uh, this image won the MPA in humor or something like that last year. Um, I did this the same day. I did the flamingo, the bubblegum flamingo piece. And when he was changing, we were just fooling around, and I had this tutu that it's meant for not for this. It's meant for a different type of studio photography, but he put that on. Um, my assistant had this tricycle parked just outside the studio. We brought it in. Uh, I I have some cigars in the fridge and champagne. I always do that. I always have that, and we just fooled around. And this is the result of our fooling around. The thing is that we have a good laugh while creating this kind of stuff. Then I have a good laugh while editing it, and it's a joy creating it. So why not do it?
And can you take a question from John? He says,
Sure.
do you prefer flash or constant light?
I use with flashes. I use studio monoblocks, so not constant light. The thing is that I find constant light it it's a bit limiting because of the output. And I usually like to work with the ISO 64, which is the native ISO for my camera. I work with a Nikon D850. I like to shoot at about f8, f11, and with most constant lights, it would be, let's say, a little bit difficult. Of course, there are constant lights that can provide better output, but those are really, really expensive when compared to studio flashes. Plus, the studio flash has the Bowens mount, which can open up. The Bowens mount can offer you a wide variety of modifiers, and most importantly, a wide variety of cheap modifiers. And for me, it's sometimes the budget is in question. So no, I work with studio flashes. I work with Godoxes. I have like 6, 7 Godox AD 600 BM, and when it comes with value over money, for me those are great.
And Georgiana asks, what's your favorite lens?
All my work is done with 2 lenses. I work with a 58 with a Nikon 58 1.4 lens for, I don't know, wider framing, and with a Nikon 105 millimeters 1.4, which is my other go-to lens. Of course, I use that for close-ups or for tighter portraiture. I have my studio is 12 meters, I think. I can go back 12 meters from the background. So the 58 is just okay for full bodies, and the 105 is really okay for anything half body and tighter.
And Kathleen
Go
asks,
ahead.
do you shoot DSLR or medium format?
Right now, I shoot DSLR. I shoot with an Nikon D850. But hopefully soon I will go medium format. I do a lot of very big prints. Most of my income comes from selling prints to collectors and through galleries. And from last year, from the NFT market. And especially for really large prints, I would love to have a bit more resolution and detail. So yeah, hopefully soon I will switch to medium format for my studio work at least.
Cool.
The Bubblegum Nun from the Bubblegum series.
We've got a great photo from my friend Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. You're too kind. This is another of my wacky portraiture. Seriously good nail from Heinz. And a really long tongue.
It certainly is a classic camera as well, the Nikon D850.
I think it just might be the one of the best DSLRs Nikon ever
I agree.
made for this type of photography. I also use a Nikon D5 for for other type of work in natural light, and when I have to do photojournalistic work and stuff like that, I use a D5.
These portraits here, Claudio, they're so iconic with a kind of modern cultural references mixed with the old masterly style. I really like them. It's very original.
Thank you so much, Jack. To be honest, I really like them too. You see, I never did stuff for other people to like. I always do the work that makes me happy.
Yes,
that brings joy to my life, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. What can I say? It's a bit like winning the lottery every day.
That's what makes you so good, because you stick to your style and you don't compromise, and you do what you want, not what the audience wants, and that makes for original, breathtaking work. Sometimes photographers can pander too much to a certain audience, I feel, and you've got to do what's in your own artistic heart, and I think your work is a definite example of that.
I think that if you start doing a certain type of work just because you think others might like it and buy it, that's a certain way towards futility as an artist.
I agree.
I think I really do believe, and it came true in my case. I really do believe that if you do the work that makes you happy and put your heart, your soul into it, people will start to enjoy that too. Not all people. You don't have to please 100% of the public. Everybody has his niche, his own audience, and you have to stick to that, to your audience, to your collectors, because nobody can produce something that it's universally liked. So why not do the thing that you like?
Right. And do you want to take some questions now? There's a few questions that popped up.
So. Sure.
So Georgiana asks, what's your advice for someone who wants to learn fine art?
My advice is stop showing the world what you see with your eyes. Stop and start showing the world what you see with your mind. Because basically that's the definition of fine art. Your vision, the things that you see with your mind and in your mind, those are all that matter. And don't be afraid to expose yourself. And an artist's work It's just that, exposing yourself to the world.
Right.
Tearing down the wall that you usually put between yourself and others. Your art, it's who you are, and you have to show that, to feed off everything that you are.
Right. And my friend Nick asks, do you think AI or AI art like Midjourney will eliminate stock photography in the next few years?
I think that stock photography was dying anyway. I have friends and that were doing good with stock photography, I know, 10 years ago. And over the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, not so much. But yeah, I think AI images, AI generated images will take a big chunk of that market. It's cheaper. It's cheaper. Right now, you can buy a stock photography with under $1. It's hard to go much cheaper than that.
Yeah.
And Kathleen asks, are you a Nikon ambassador?
No, I'm not. I'm not a Nikon ambassador. I wish I were, because I really, I really enjoy working with their gear. I started with that. It for me, it does the thing, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Right. So Nick says, I rephrase my question. Do you think AI text to image will change the face of photography on the professional side? Portrait photography, landscape, etc.
When photography first appeared, people feared that will be the death of art. When electronic watches appeared, people feared that the whole watchmaking industry will perish. The thing is that some businesses will die, but some businesses, because basically that's what we are as photographers, small businesses. Some businesses will reposition themselves. Think about the watchmaking industries. The brands that survived the advent of cheap plastic watches were the brands that positioned themselves as jewelry, as statement pieces. Photography is like that. It's a premium service. It's not meant for the masses. And I think that the fine art part of the photography, the really creative stuff, the really good imagery, the really good providers of experiences for clients won't be affected, because at the end of the day, the client and the collector that buys art, they usually do not buy an image, or they do not just buy an image. They buy a story. They buy an experience that you provide. AI will never provide that.
Right.
I have to agree with you, Claudio. I truly believe that purist photography will never die, and all AI is doing really is making the likes of me gravitate more towards traditional purist photography rather than some of the far out psychedelic
AI
digital art that
is
I've
a
created.
wonderful tool to use.
Yeah,
It's just a new tool.
it is.
And AI assisted art will strive. I think will
Yeah,
grow. I started using AI to generate backgrounds and stuff.
yeah,
Instead of, I don't know, going through Richmond Museum page to download an old painting to use in one of my photos, I can just create it using Midjourney. Hey, all the better. I can create lots and lots of variations, and I can be even more creative. I can create, I don't know, digital props. Why not?
Great.
That's the keeper of the egg. It's the only rooster in the world that laid an egg. See it soon in Guinness Book of Records. Okay, so we had a cat. Now we have a rooster. Unfortunately, when I bought the stuffed ferret, that guy had more stuffed animals, and I bought like 4 or 5.
What whole zoo?
Yeah, I had to put them to
Animals.
good use. So,
they look very realistic. They look like they're alive. Yeah, they look like they're alive.
It's he did good work. I really don't like having dead animals in my studio. I love the way the images turned out. So it is what it is. Okay, this is the Baron von Haba. He's the ruler of Haba Baba land. He's very tough but fair.
Hubba Bubba Land.
The Haba Baba land. Yeah, it's
Brilliant.
my favorite land in the world. Okay. Just a black veil and that thing around his neck. It's actually a belt. But
cool.
Here I was a little bit more experimental. It's the image is it is obviously, I think it's obviously inspired by
Magritte.
the son of by the son of man, Magritte's son of man. It's my way of actually it's called like father like son, because the son, it's a family portrait. It's the big apple and the smaller apple. It's not the son of man, it's the grandson of man, if you want. Thank you.
Lubis, yeah, happy guy.
I'm a happy guy, yeah, and I haven't had anything to drink yet.
Or a cigar.
Or a cigar. Okay.
And I just quickly wanted to say to Yeti that we will be showing all of Claudio's links later. So, yeah.
Yeah, just Google my name and everything will turn up. This is a more classical or more a nicer image. It's my more serious side. She was like 10 years old or 12 when I photographed her, and at 10 or 12 she already had like 6 years experience in modeling. That blew me away.
Wow.
They really start really young. That's another one of my experiments with the optical snoot. I think this is done during a mentoring session I did for another photographer. And again, a belt, a high collar that fashion creator made for me. I had her make me a whole bunch of different colors because I don't invest in I don't know, very intricate, very expensive wardrobe or very complicated stuff. I usually use pieces of fabric, those colors, all sorts of accessories. That's also a broken belt that I found at a thrift store. Again, I'm sorry for my broken English. So.
I'm following. Great.
This is again a cast portrait that I did for the National Theatre. It's it's a character in a play. It's two. I think I included like 2 or 3. This is the dirty banker in the play, I mean. And this is the butler, the corrupt butler of the rich guy. This is a portrait that's, I think, is more inspired by the pre-Raphaelite movement in art. I wanted to create some kind of a portrait of Lucrezia Borgia with the pre-Raphaelite aesthetic in mind. The model, actually, it's an art historian. And when I mentioned the art history references, she was, I got it. And she created the whole wardrobe for the shoot. This is actually a client shoot. It's a client that came by the studio to have her portraits taken, and we did something. You know, Rembrandt has all those turban portraits. It's a whole series at Rembrandt, and of course, I tried to do something like that: the Rembrandt lighting, the turban, the blue fabric. I think that's actually a shawl or something like that. And a tarot card. I'm working on a tarot deck, and that's the first of the deck. It's the number 0. The 0 card is the Fool. Again, the recurring motif of the bubble gum. What can you do? I call this Pinocchio. It's some kind of commentary over the world we live in, about the stuff that's fed to us to keep us quiet, and the illusion of wealth. In his glasses there are some dollars. Again, one of the colors I was telling you about that I use a lot, and a black t-shirt, and some ski glasses, and an apple, and some Photoshop to manipulate the chin and the nose. This is I think it's an album cover I did for a young musician. His stage name is Raven Boy. And of course, I was kind of inspired by the Raven television series to do it. And it's been 54 minutes, and that's the last of the slides.
Oh, that's great. Great work.
Awesome, Claudio. Can I have just one question from me? Claudio, do you have an education in art history, or is it just, do you have just a passionate interest in going to these museums and galleries?
No. I have zero artistic background in terms of studies. But right now, during the master classes, my master classes that I teach, they are usually 3 days long. And during the first day, there's a extensive walk through art history, because cool. I always say that it's easier to create a certain type of aesthetic if you understand the world that created that aesthetic. And I always try to give my students the big picture. And while writing the material for the portraiture masterclass that took me about 2 years, I studied a lot. and I still do. But it's like light reading, because I read what I like to read anyways. So it's not hard.
But
It's
you
what
can see with this kind of portraiture of it, you're very well versed in the history of art, and you've translated that into a very modern, contemporary, and masterful manner, if I may say so. And can I also say, Claudio, it's such an honor to have you involved with the Influx Gallery. In my opinion, unbelievable. And it's just such a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the show. And I'm sure Andrew feels exactly the same as me.
And also I was going to say that
someone I really would like to thank you, because she was a big step in my career. It's Kathleen. She's here. She's the owner of the first gallery I ever signed with. Before her, I didn't even know that I could do that. And thank you, Kat.
Right.
Awesome.
And Jack, did you want to talk a bit about the Influx Gallery?
Yes, the Influx Gallery. We've hosting some amazing and famous artists such as myself, Andrew, Claudio, Patrizia. It's actually evolved into a who's who of world photography, and we're selling work, we're running exhibitions, and it's going better than I ever expected. We're young and we're hungry, and we're just pushing on. And it's so great to actually push other artists' work. I'm a professional photographer myself. For 10 years, it's all been about me. And now it's so great to promote and share these fascinating, world-beating photographers and painters as well with the gallery. And it's something that we're really excelling in and we're really enjoying as well.
Excellent. Yep. So you can find Claudio at the Influx Gallery at influxgallery.com, featured Claudio. And how do you say your last name? That's a tongue twister for me.
It's been said in a lot of ways. The funniest one was guerrilla. At an awards presentation, that Claudiu Guraliuc. But no, it's Guraliuc. You can do whatever you want with it. I know you mean well.
And I think that's a cool nickname, though, Claudio Gorilla. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And then here's Claudio's website. So /portraits portfolio. And then you can also follow Claudio on Twitter. So twitter.com/Claudio Guraliuc. So
yeah.
Great. And also
part of our family lives in Canada. And their name there, it's Gorlick. A little bit like garlic, but Gorlick.
Sweet. And you can also find Jack at the Influx Gallery, featured Jack Savage. And I'm on the Influx Gallery as well, featured Andy Carroll. Great. So yeah, Influx Gallery has a lot of great artists, great shows. So yeah, thank you so much, Claudio. It's great. And
thank you, Andrew.
Really wonderful work.
Thanks so much, Claudio. Such a blessing.
It was my pleasure. And again, thank you for having me. And thank you for your invitation to join the Influx Gallery. It's truly an honor.
You got a lot of awesome comments. Nick says awesome. Dave says an awesome collection of amazing portraits.
Thank you, Dave.
And Georgiana says these are awesome. Your vision is indeed unique. And Kathleen says earlier, my pleasure. Huge fan of your wonderful work.
Thank you, Kat.
Great. So yeah, thank you so much, Claudio. Thank you, Jack. And thanks everyone for watching. And as always, I will be posting the link in the Facebook groups. And please do consider, let me remind everyone to, if I can find it, there it is, to subscribe for more digital art, Photoshop, and photography focused live streams and tutorials on my YouTube. So Digital Art Drew on YouTube. That's Digital Art Drew. Please subscribe. And we're having another live this Friday with Steve Day, photographer. So please do keep an eye on that on the YouTube. And yep, thank you. And Lupus says, for sure we will follow all of you. Thanks, great art. And Georgiana says, thank you all, great conversation. And Cyprian, thank you all, great interview. Yep. So, and yeah, Nick says he apologizes. He missed the first half, but we'll watch it when it's uploaded. Great work. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Keep an eye out for the links and follow my YouTube and check out the Influx gallery. Thanks, everybody.